ongoing discussions about mental health, mental illness. I'm going to let a few people log on, let a few of the live streams catch up. But again, my name's Dr. Stephen Walker. Thank you for tuning in tonight. We've been having some pretty good discussions about mental health and mental illness. People are really starting to engage with me. People are starting to share this more. We're getting a lot of additional people following our page, our Facebook, YouTube. So really appreciate that. But again, remember these broadcasts are for you. They're not for me. They're not for me to get likes and all of that. I'm not here to just talk for 20 or 30 minutes and then, watch my like count go up. This is about you engaging with me. So tonight we're going to be talking about how to manage negative thinking. Okay. People have this idea that there's something wrong with negative thinking. There's something wrong with being down. There's something wrong with feeling like you have issues, so to speak. Hey, Janie, how are you? Glad you're with us tonight. I know you've been working a lot. So we're going to talk tonight again. We're going to begin talking about negative thinking. Now, remember, please, this is about you guys engaging with me. So if you struggle with negative thinking, if you know somebody that struggles with negative thinking, if you're predominantly thinking negatively, this is something we need to address, because if you look at social media, if you look at, what I call social media mental health, which is the idea of, be positive and eliminate negative people from your mind and let it go. And it's like all these self-helpers and all these YouTubers who have no mental health training are giving people mental health advice about their negative thoughts and emotions. And it's always basically around the same thing. Let it go. Don't let it bother you. Focus on the positive. Not necessarily bad advice, but the kind of advice that is only 1/3 of the equation. So I'm going to start off tonight talking about some ways that we can manage our negative thinking. And again, remember, this is not about me just talking. This is about you engaging with me and asking questions. So if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, please share it so that we can pull people in. Because remember, the overarching goal of what I'm trying to do is make people aware that talking about your mental illness, because again, remember, everyone has a degree of mental illness. Talking about your mental illness, engaging about your mental illness, talking about how you've worked on your mental illness, all things we need more of in our culture. So, negative thinking. Now, let's talk about that. Who do you know that doesn't struggle with negative thinking? Okay. I mean, we all struggle with negative thinking. Negative thinking is the idea that we're pessimistic. We are maybe hating ourselves. We are just feeling down a lot, depressed. We just have that sort of, gloomy feel to us, which we all have. Okay. The first thing you've got to do when you feel negative, and many of you have heard me say this before, is you got to say it's okay. I call it the it's okay pill. It's okay that I'm down. It's okay that I feel bad. It's okay that I have this negative thinking. Because if you don't do that, now you're in denial. Oh, I'm not negative. I don't feel negative. Why would I feel negative? I've got so much to be happy for, which is another thing people do. They'll take their particular negativity or whatever's getting them down, and they'll minimize it. Oh, well, there are people starving in India, or there are people who have it a lot worse than I do. So they immediately negate how they're feeling. They tell themselves they're wrong to feel this way. They shouldn't be feeling this way. That is the biggest misstep people do, because now what they're doing is they're denying that they're feeling negative about something. So remember, just to pause real quick, there's negative thinking, there's positive thinking, and there's neutral thinking. Okay? It's interesting. I was watching a football game the other day, and one of the quarterbacks was talking about neutrality, and apparently he's got a life coach or whatever who is all about neutral thinking. Great. Hope the dude has some training and some mental health background, or he hasn't just cherry picked this from somebody like me or somebody else who works in psychology and is now, telling people to just think neutrally. Okay, dude, well, whatever, but that's 1/3 of the equation. You cannot negate your negative thinking, meaning you can't say, I'm not going to think negative. I'm going to just deny that I feel negative or deny that I have these issues from my past that still affect me. Denial is the key thing that keeps people stuck. Not admitting that they have issues, not admitting that something is wrong with them. This is what or how the pharmaceutical company has come in and filled that vacuum. Because what the pharmaceutical companies know is that in order to treat a disease, in order to treat any ailment that affects us physically or psychologically, you gotta first, there's gotta be an ailment to treat. But what happens is, because we live in a culture that stigmatizes negative thoughts, stigmatizes depression, stigmatizes mental illness, people don't want to admit it. People don't want to admit that they feel negative. The first thing they'll do is they'll deny it, or I shouldn't feel this way, or what's the matter with me? I'm so whatever. You know, my wife and I got some bad news today that we were hoping we weren't going to hear. We were down. We were feeling down about it. We weren't saying to each other, oh, just cheer up or whatever. We were accepting that we're down. We're allowing ourselves to feel down, but we're working on it. We're working on it. The key is, if you don't accept it's there, then you can't work on it. It's kind of like, I have a cut here on my knuckle here. No, I didn't hit anybody. But if I deny that it's there, then I'm going to continue infecting it. I'm going to continue opening it up. So I accept that it's there, and I've been bandaging it. I've been making myself aware so I don't keep opening up. But we don't do that with our negative thoughts and emotions. Hey, you doing, Richard? Good to have you back, man. Again, if you guys are watching this, please share this. Please ask a question. The topic tonight is how to manage negative thinking. The first, Allison, great question. What is borderline personality disorder? I'll get into that in a second. Hey, Rose, thank you. And Rose, thank you for chiming in on the Facebook page about, I don't want to call them morons, but people who are posting things on the advertisement for the page, and for whatever reason, they decide that their big stand in life is going to be, they're going to post something about a psychologist who's trying to help people talk about their mental illness. They're going to post something and say it's a scam, or I hear you. I love good controversy too. Who was it? John Lewis said good trouble. So good. Thank you for that. But we're talking about negative thinking. So the idea is that if we don't deal with negative thinking, if we don't, accept that we have negative thinking within us, then how are we going to work on it? And again, guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, please share it, pull some people in, make people aware that there's nothing wrong with talking about negative thinking or mental illness. We all have a degree of mental illness. So you have to accept. The first step is accept the negativity. Don't try to gloss it over. Don't try to deny that you're feeling negative. Don't tell other people who are feeling negative, oh, just come on, put yourself up from your bootstraps, or whatever we try to do to save. Hey, Miranda, how are you? Not a little late. You're right on time. We try to save people from their negativity by allowing them to, by not allowing them to feel what they're feeling. And if you guys know, one of my catchphrases has been for years and years and years, you got to feel it to heal it. Okay. You can't deny that you're feeling negative. You're never going to heal it. But again, cultural conditioning tells us, oh, no. Don't be negative. Don't allow yourself to be. Don't feel the negativity. You got to feel it. Okay. So step number one is you got to make it okay. Step number two, you got to identify what am I feeling negative about? Someone texted me or posted a great question on the page that I was trying to get to. Leslie asked, what is a good approach to finding the root cause of anxiety and depression? Excellent question. Remember, guys, generally there's not a root. There are roots. Okay, like a tree, you can't dig up a tree and say that's the root. There are many roots. So the key to working on managing negative thinking is, remember, the title of this talk tonight isn't how to eliminate negative thinking. Have you guys ever wondered why you never see classes for how to eliminate anger? Well, what are the classes always called? Anger management. Because anybody with any kind of training or knowledge knows you're never going to eliminate anger. Why? That's like trying to eliminate our ability to see, to feel, to touch. These things are wired into us. Anger is a protective mechanism. Now, if I'm going around punching everybody and screaming at people at the top of my lungs, I need to manage it. But you're not going to eliminate negative thinking. Now, can you learn ways to manage it? Absolutely. The main way you manage it is by working on it, accepting that you feel negative. Okay? I was talking about earlier, we got some bad news tonight. What am I doing to manage it? I'm reminding myself, dude, it's okay. It's okay. I don't care how many degrees I have. It's okay that I have moments of negativity. And then I start working on it. Okay. Great, Aaron. Thanks for logging on. I'll get to your question in a second. So, negative thinking needs to be accepted and managed. If you don't accept it and manage it, you're never going to, it's going to consume you because you're going to be, I don't know if you guys ever heard that expression, whatever I resist persists. Very true. If I'm resisting, who was it? Newton. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? So if I press against, I hate my negativity, I don't want to deal with it, it presses back. It's energy. Energy needs to be dealt with. Energy, like Einstein said, you can't kill energy, you can transmute it. Negative energy is a part of who we are. We're never going to deny it. If you're watching a YouTuber, a podcast, you're going to a talk with somebody who's only just, let's just be positive and awaken the giant within, and let's not focus on our negativity. Please, next time you hear them, ask yourself, why? Why are they steering me away from negativity? And the bottom line is they don't have the training to help people through their negativity. That's why the reoccurring mantra you hear from me in these talks is please make sure who you're getting your mental health, emotional, psychological, whatever advice from has some training in the field. Otherwise, they're just some person who has a camera and they're saying, hey, this is how I think I should be. I'm not going to, I'm tempted sometimes to call some of these people out or invite them on the show to talk about this. But there's a couple people in particular that it's just confounding why people allow themselves to listen to people who have zero training. This person has a great following about narcissism, and every week it's some new wrinkle on narcissism. How to beat a narcissism, how to beat that. The latest one I was caught a little bit of was, can a narcissist change in therapy? Okay, great question. Do you have any training? Do you have any mental health training? How many narcissists have you worked with in therapy? What's scientific? I know science. Oh my God, science. But what's your scientific background that you're saying narcissists can or cannot change in therapy? Please share this, guys. If you're watching this, please, I need your help to you're my foot soldiers out there to make it clear that there's nothing wrong with talking about mental illness. So again, just to get back to the negative thinking, make sure whoever you are listening to has some training. And cynical people out there may say, well, you're only pushing that because, you've got a doctorate and a master's and an undergraduate degree. You're damn right I'm pushing it, because I know exactly that if something goes wrong with my brain or my eyes, or if I have to get surgery or whatever, you're damn sure I want to find somebody who's licensed, trained, and has experience in the field that I'm looking for help in. Okay. So yes, do I have a bias towards the idea that mental health is so nuanced? Working with people's thoughts and emotions is such a nuanced thing that you need a certain degree, a large degree of training to know how to help the person. Okay. This is why I think a lot of people who have all these followers just talk and don't interact with the people they're watching, because they don't have any answers. They don't really know what they're talking about to the degree that it gets deeper and deeper. Why are you continuing to beat the drum about narcissism when all you're basically doing is showing people how much somebody has hurt you? And that is unhealed stuff that needs to be worked on. Sorry. Excuse my rant there. How to manage negative thinking. First step, accept that you have it. Second step, begin working on it from the perspective of balancing it out with a perspective on where you got that. Yeah, Frank, I hear you. I hear you. Sometimes Frank is coming in from Twitter. I hear you. You know, it's an interesting thing. He said weed cures everything. You know, Frank, you might want to look at some of the studies about copious amounts of marijuana and psychosis. I'm not anti-marijuana. I would, in many ways, medical marijuana is showing great things that pharmaceuticals don't show. So I can get back to your question. So negative thinking, the first step is admitting to yourself that you're feeling negative and working on it. Okay. So let's get to a couple questions here. Rose is, you're welcome. Thank you for helping us navigate our emotions and feelings. You're welcome. Janie's saying, this is exactly what I do. I just don't understand why I'm so negative, and that frustrates me even more. Well, Janie, you know, from what you and I have talked about and exchanged, we haven't really talked, but exchanged, you know, there's some trauma there. There's some pain. There's some unresolved feelings relating to people in your family that I don't think you've allowed yourself to get into, because there's a fear a lot of times where that we feel that these negative thoughts and emotions are going to overwhelm us. And guys, I'm telling you, your negative thoughts and emotions seem bigger than they are, because what's happening is you're denying them, you're ignoring them. And they're growing like weeds in a field, just blah, 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 and you're not weeding them out. The negative thinking, the negative thoughts that you have, and Janie's bringing up an excellent point, most of them are rooted in trauma. Most of them are rooted in, if you have a really large amount of negativity, it's rooted in something you haven't worked out. So with Janie, I know it's difficult, Janie, but the first step is you saying to yourself, it's okay that I'm so negative. It's okay. You don't want to hate yourself. Remember, in this hand, I have Janie's negativity. In this hand, I have hate. You keep adding hate to that negativity. It's growing. Janie's got to work on saying to Janie, it's okay. You've got a high stress job. You're on the front lines of the great hoax, which is COVID-19. You're dealing with death on a regular basis. I was kidding about hoax, but you know, so Janie's got to understand how the environment, the outer environment, is affecting her inner environment, and how her inner environment is affecting those negative thoughts and emotions. Janie, sister, it's okay that you're so negative. It's okay. You can't keep hating that you're negative, but you got to start working on what's causing that. And I think you said, I just don't understand why. I think you do understand why, Janie. I think you do, at least from your messages to me. You got a pretty good level of self-awareness about what it is. I think what you're really saying is, I don't understand why, is I don't understand why it's still affecting me. I don't understand why I'm so negative. But I think you know some of the roots of what that is. And I'll get back to you, Janie. So let's get to some more questions. Veronica is saying, thank you, Veronica. I'm 2 months postpartum and I'm having anger and sad thoughts. I just started counseling, but I feel like anything triggers these feelings now. How can I express myself in a healthy manner and not feel like everything is causing these feelings? Well, again, Veronica, you know, you've got to say to yourself, it's okay that I'm having these feelings. And I know people might think, well, dude, the it's okay pill, it only goes so far. It doesn't. What happens is, the more Veronica says to herself, okay, it's okay that I'm 2 months postpartum. I don't know if this is your first child. I don't know if this is whatever. I don't know if you had pregnancy complications. I don't know if you had miscarriages or whatever, but postpartum is a resulting factor of a lot of women's pregnancies, meaning that they get down, they get depressed, they feel like they have trouble connecting with the child. They almost feel like angry at the child for crying, for being needy. And these are all feelings that need to be addressed and need to be made okay within you. Veronica has to say to herself, it's okay that I have these feelings. It doesn't mean I'm a bad mom. It doesn't mean that these feelings are going to go on forever, but Veronica has to make those feelings okay. Remember, negative thinking, that's a negative thought. That's a negative feeling. Veronica has to say to herself, it's okay that I feel this way. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So when you say, how can I express myself in a healthy manner? Are you talking about with your husband or wife or whoever your partner is? Great. How you can express to yourself in a healthy manner is the first way is expressing to yourself. It's talking to yourself. You know, Veronica, I don't know what your relationship with yourself is like. I think you're new to some of our broadcasts here, but I'm a pusher. I'm a self-help, not self-help. I'm a relationship with self pusher, meaning that I really push the idea that the number one relationship you should have is with yourself. So I don't know, Veronica. I'll go down and take a look at second child. I did have it with my first. I didn't have it with my first. I try to think positive, but that makes me more frustrated. Exactly. And Janie says, bingo. Okay, Janie, exactly. You know what I'm talking about. So you didn't have, so I try to think positive. Great. But you got to allow yourself to feel negative. You remember positive, negative, and neutral. Those are the three energies of the universe. Those are the three energies in the atom. Okay? Positive, negative, and neutral. All three need to coexist. Oh, great. Think positive. That's fine. But don't think positive as a way to eliminate the negative. Look at it like I'm thinking positive to coexist with the negative. Okay? Remember you see all those bumper stickers that say coexist? And great. They're talking about external coexisting, which is great. But you need to coexist with all of what's in you. Okay? Allison is saying, yes, hormones, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's another thing for Veronica to remind herself. This is a hormonal storm within me. Okay? This is a hormonal storm within me that I'm allowed to feel, and I need to bring some optimism to that, meaning that the storm will settle. But I'm telling you, Veronica, if you're hating those feelings, sister, they're going to keep going because you're feeding the negative. You're feeding. In this hand, you have your feelings of postpartum, okay? And in this hand, you got, where's my camera? It's reversed. And in this hand, you've got the negative thoughts you have about those feelings. They're growing, sister. I'm not saying to love them. But you got to accept her. Great, Fernando. Beautiful. Great. Well, Fernando, I don't know whose husband you are. I'm assuming you're Veronica's. But great. This is wonderful. We got husband and wife on. Fernando, I could imagine it's difficult. Veronica has the mood swings and all that. So I would just encourage you guys to say it's okay that you're struggling. It's okay that you have this postpartum. It's okay because you cannot hate negative emotions. You can do whatever you want, but I'm telling you, as somebody who's seen it over and over and over and over, people hate how they feel. People spend hours. I can't fucking, excuse my language. I hate this. I hate that I'm like this. Oh God, I can't stand. And all you're doing is you're feeding the negative emotions in there going, oh yeah, please feed me, give me more. Now, am I saying that Veronica should say to herself, oh, I love that I feel this way? Absolutely not. Okay, now great question. How can I accept them, or what can I say to myself? Veronica, it's okay. That's acceptance. Acceptance brings neutrality. Acceptance is you saying, I'm not going to hate them and I'm not going to love them. I'm going to find that middle road, which is acceptance. And I said this years ago in a talk I was doing for one of the pharmaceutical companies about MS and how MS is the symptoms of MS are exacerbated by the person's psychology. So would I tell somebody with MS, oh, love your MS, oh, love it? But no, there's a degree of acceptance that Veronica needs to bring in to herself and say to herself, it's okay that I feel this way. It's okay that I'm having this hormonal storm. And remember, guys, if you're watching this, please share this on your Facebook feed. If you're on YouTube, share it. If you're on Twitter, please. We need to normalize conversations about mental illness. Mental illness is, hey, Dean, how are you? Mental illness is an epidemic. Epidemic. So before I go off on that rant, Veronica and Fernando, I'm assuming you guys are together. You guys need to sit down and just say to yourself, say to each other, it's okay, honey, that you're feeling like this. I'm going to please ask you to just, maybe not take it out on me, but it's okay that you're feeling like this. And I'm going to help you through it. But you got to bring some optimism to this, Veronica. You got to know that you have the ability to heal and get out of this. Okay. You've got not get out of it, but assimilate it into you and allow yourself to heal from it. Okay. So just to recap really quick, you've got to make your negative postpartum feelings okay. You've got to accept them. What do you need to say to yourself? You need to look in the mirror and say to yourself, it's okay that I feel this way. It's okay. This is my second child. Maybe it's stirring up things. Maybe my body has changed. Maybe I'm wondering if Fernando is still attracted to me. Whatever is being stirred up for you. Maybe the pregnancy was difficult. I don't know if you got, lingering effects from that. Great, erase, thank you. I get better, but then all of a sudden it comes back. Excellent, excellent. I want to get to that. That's an excellent thing about the ebb and flow of positive and negative and neutral emotions. Thank you. So, but back to Fernando and Veronica. What you can say to yourself is, I'm proud of me. I'm proud of you. I'm proud that you brought two lives into the world. It's difficult. I don't know if any men have ever helped a woman work through a pregnancy. It ain't easy. It ain't easy. So, and that's from the male perspective. From the female perspective, I saw what it did to my wife. I mean, we were in a lucky position where she could, I could work and she could just chill at home and just, incubate, as we called it. But the main thing Veronica needs to say to herself is, it's okay. Sister, you got to work on that relationship with you. You got to say things you would say to your niece or sister or whoever you love who's struggling. What would you say to them? Say it to yourself. Say it to yourself. Talk to little Veronica inside of you. Okay? I don't know if you went through some trauma as a child or what happened or whatever, but it seems like something deeper is getting stirred up. Okay? So I hope that helped. Let me know, give me some feedback. If you think I'm full of crap, say that. If you think it didn't help, please feel free. I'm not here to just go off. I want to know what people are feeling. So let's see here. Okay, Aaron. Nice question, Aaron. I don't know if you're still on. Hi, lately I've been recently experiencing very intense self-hatred and hyper-focused on my insecurity. It happened because I was rejected by someone I was very interested in romantically. How do I approach overcoming this? Well, you're starting, bro. You're admitting to yourself that you're hurt. You're admitting to yourself that the rejection felt, you were, I don't know if it's a man or a woman. I'll just go with the traditional, maybe it was a woman. Maybe she rejected you in a very mean way. I don't know. But what I'm hearing though, Aaron, and just what you're saying, and I'm going to scroll down here. Okay, cool. You're here. So give me feedback as I'm talking, Aaron. What I'm hearing you say is there's very intense self-hatred. Now I'm going to guess, and I could be wrong, but I'm going to guess, Aaron, this self-hatred isn't anything new. I'm guessing that you've struggled with self-hatred or insecurity for a lot of your life or periods in your life, and now it's back and it's coupled around being rejected by somebody. So to go a little deeper, I would want to find out, if I was working with you, like if you had any abandonment stuff from when you were a kid. I don't know where rejection has taken on this very kind of like post-traumatic, hey, Rasmus, how you doing? Don't just watch, ask a question, please. Where, you got so reactive, okay? It's called hypervigilance. Hypervigilance is a form of PTSD where people are like, they're waiting for that next scare. So there may have been something in your past. Yes, it's reoccurring. Okay, great. So we're on the right track here. So what I would encourage you to do, brother, if you're not going to find somebody like me, and by the way, I'm not saying me personally, I mean somebody like me in the field. If you're not going to talk it out with somebody, you've got to try to go back in your mind and make some connections, okay? I use the example of racism a lot. There's no moral judgment about racism, but there are no born racists. Nobody's born hating black people, white people, immigrants, whatever. This is all learned behavior. So a racist who has gotten to a point in their life where they don't want to be a racist anymore, they want to tone it down, they need to figure out where they learned to be a racist. So Aaron, please guys, if you're watching this, please share this, all right? I need you guys to share this and make it clear to people that you're sharing it to, that I'm proud of the fact that I'm dealing with my issues. Who doesn't have issues? All these people you're afraid of knowing you have issues, how many of them don't have issues? One person. But anyway, back to Aaron. So I would try to figure out why I'm hating myself so much. And like I was saying to Veronica, brother, what is going on with this negative relationship with yourself? I mean, what have you done to earn self-hatred? You know what I mean? What have you done to earn self-hate? I mean, are you molesting people? Are you murdering people? The idea of self-hatred is a very intense thing to do to yourself, because what you're doing is you're hating a victim of trauma. It's like, imagine, Aaron, if you go to work at a trauma center and they're all struggling with self-hate, and you go in there and you're like, I friggin' hate all of you. You're all a bunch of idiots. You shouldn't feel this way. And I'm guessing that Aaron does not have a very good relationship with himself. I'm here. It's just a little hard to type because I'm at work. No problem, bro. I hear you. So you can just check this out later. But you've got to get into that self-hate, dude. You've got to. You've got to get into that self-hate, because you've got to make a decision as to whether or not it's justifiable. And some people would say to me, well, you know, how is any self-hate justifiable? Trust me, people, okay? I've worked in environments and I've worked with people who have what I call justifiable self-hate. They have done some heinous things. I have worked with, you can imagine, I've worked in sexual offender treatment programs where I have to help people relive their sexual trauma that they put on other people. And it's not easy to listen to, but that's part of the treatment. So those people have, to a certain degree, justifiable self-hate. Aaron, my brother, you have to look into, why do I hate myself so much? What is going on that I hate myself so much? And you took the first step tonight, bro, because what you're doing is you're admitting, yeah, man, what is going on with this self-hate? You got to question it. I call it questioning your conditioning. Why do I hate this black guy? Why do I hate this white person? Have they done anything to me personally for me to hate them? You got to question that. Where did I learn that? Was it okay that my mom and dad told me that all black or white people suck? And in Aaron's case, I would say, Aaron, you've got to ask yourself, is it self-hate? What's going on? So I'm guessing that somewhere along the way, bro, you got rejected. And rejection is like what I call a traumatic trigger, meaning that that it's like throwing a firecracker at a war veteran. Guys, please share this again, please. Normalizing conversations about mental illness if you're just logging on. The conversation tonight is about how to manage negative thinking. We're openly talking about our mental illness. We all, myself included, have a degree of mental illness. Mental illness is not all or nothing. You're either mentally ill or you're mentally healthy. Everyone has a degree of mental illness. You've got to accept it. Aaron's degree of mental illness is he's got self-hate. Self-hate is a form of mental illness. Why? Copious amounts of self-hate. Guess what that can lead to? Depression. Guess what a lot of depression can lead to? Suicide. Okay? Yeah, I've said this before. I've worked with addicts my whole life. Not whole life. Much of my professional career was working with people with addiction. Here's a question for you guys. You done take a doctoral degree to figure this one out. How many self-loving addicts do you think I've worked with? How many self-loving addicts do you think I've worked with? Aaron, self-hate is a form of mental illness. You need to look at that like, holy crap, I got an abscess in my tooth, or I've got an infection in my hand. You've got to look at that self-hate, bro, as a form of mental illness that needs to be worked on. Okay. And you got to get into, why is rejection stirring all this up for me? Maybe your mom rejected you, or maybe your mom's relationship with you was kind of fluid, meaning that some days you thought she loved you and some days she didn't, or maybe your parents rejected you. I don't know. Okay. But you got to get into that, bro. Okay. He's responding here. Great, Aaron. God, that's awesome. He's saying, I hate myself because I see myself as unattractive and timid and too afraid to speak my feelings. Great. Beautiful. Brother, that's worthy of self-hate? So let's say you're the elephant man and I'm looking at your picture. You're not an unattractive dude, but you're telling me if you were the elephant man, ugly, that would say, oh, okay, that justifies self-hate. I would tell the elephant man, no, it doesn't justify self-hate. Now, if you're a heinous person, if you're doing a lot of heinous things in the world, that's a different story. But listen to what you said. I hate myself because I see myself as unattractive and timid. So you're hating yourself for being timid. Bro, how's hating yourself working? Is hating the fact that you're timid working? I'm going to prescribe the same pill I prescribed to Veronica for you, Aaron. You got to start taking the it's okay pill, bro. You got to start saying to yourself, look, it's okay that I'm timid. It's okay. It's okay that I'm afraid to speak my feelings. Where did I learn that there was something wrong with speaking my feelings? Aaron, you're lobbing me softballs, brother. I'm guessing that when you were growing up, nobody spoke their feelings. I don't know what your family of origin stuff is, meaning how you grew up. Oh, okay, here we go. Beautiful, man. Aaron's really laying it out for us. Beautiful. Nothing to be ashamed of. Nothing. What's there to be ashamed of? This pain he feels, he should be ashamed of it and keep it in? And be like every Neanderthal man, or a lot of Neanderthal men. Oh, I want to drink and hang out with my friends, and I don't want to talk about how I feel. It's my Neanderthal voice. But anyway, Aaron's talking about it. I used to be 150 pounds heavier. That's where a lot of my insecurity comes from. Well, there you go, my brother. There you go. You are still in that shame of being heavy. Instead of, damn, I lost 150 pounds. I should be friggin' proud of myself. This is what Aaron needs to work on his relationship with himself. Why do I get so worked up about this stuff, guys? Because there are so many things that if we just were doing as a culture, we would be so far beyond suicide, murder, racism, polarity. I mean, look at what's happening politically. Rose knows this. Somebody made some stupid comment on one of my ads about they were all a bunch of liberals and all this. What good does conservatives hating liberals do? What good does liberals hating conservatives do? I mean, do we want just more crap? Basic little things like, why do you like Donald Trump? Why do you not like Donald Trump? Let's talk about it. Can we find some common ground? Anyway, Aaron, you got to work on your relationship with yourself, bro. You got to. You got to, because what I'm guessing is when Aaron was 150 pounds heavier, he hated himself. He hated being fat. And there's so much fat shaming in our culture. There's so much fatism, as I call them, hating fat people, looking down on fat people, overweight people, excuse me. We need to work on that, okay? So I'm going to come back to you, Aaron, if you're still on. But, bro, send me some private messages if you want to, chat a little bit, whatever. But you got to work on Aaron's relationship with Aaron, okay? You started it tonight. Keep it going. Find a counselor. Find someone that you can talk out some of that pain. All right, man? So and I'm going to leave you with this. I haven't heard anyone else say this, and I did this years ago, so I'll throw it out there. Aaron, if you woke up tomorrow and there were more people like you on the planet, would it be better or worse? Anyone listening can answer that question. If there were more people like you on the planet, Aaron, would it be better or worse? And if you can say that it would probably be a little bit better, then your self-hate is friggin' conditioning. Okay, bro? So thank you for all your questions, and you're laying it on the line. That's exactly what we need, is people saying, you know what? I got these issues. I got no issue. I'm talking about them. I've talked about, I used to be a profound self-hater, Aaron. This is nothing. Trust me, I hated myself growing up. In high school, I was teased. I was put down. I went to an all-white school. I'm mixed race. I was ashamed of my black heritage because of my family. No one ever talked about it. Nobody acknowledged it. So I internalized this intense amount of self-hate. I've worked through a lot of that. I'm proud of what I've done. I'm proud of how far I've come. I don't mind talking about what I've been through, because I know what self-hate feels like when you look in the mirror and I friggin' hate you, you ugly, and people around you are reinforcing it. So I feel you, bro. I do. but you started. Keep going, Aaron. Look for somebody, a counselor, somebody online, whoever, that you can talk out some of this. All right, man. Hope that helped. Please do not hesitate sending me some messages. I would say it would be better. Great. I hear you, and thank you. It was, what did you say? It was super relevant to me. Beautiful, man. Keep it up, Aaron. Don't stop with tonight. This is not a one and done. This is like working out. I used to be a lot bigger. I gave that up after I got married, much to my wife's loving that, but that's a whole nother issue. But a lot of my muscularity has gone down. Why? I stopped using it. It's the same thing with emotional and psychological work. You got to keep working on it. Okay. So let me get to some other people. Let me see here. Frank, weed cures everything. Well, again, like I said before, bro, too much of anything becomes a law of diminishing returns, meaning you got to do more and more and more. And weed is so powerful these days. It's not like I'm 55 years old. Weed is extremely powerful, and it's been associated with a lot of psychosis and paranoia. So, bro, if you're doing it, take a weed holiday or dose it down. Don't, I've worked with people who have mixed marijuana with dabs. Dabs is a concentrated form of marijuana that just, be careful, brother, because weed doesn't cure everything. I'm not saying I'm anti-weed, but overdosing anything can be too much. Okay. So let's get to some more, man. You guys you're making all this worthwhile for me by asking these questions. Okay. This is exactly why I'm doing this. So Richard is saying, I guess he's responding to Allison. Allison, I was born in the country and moved to the projects in the city. And when I was 10, well, I had to adopt different cultures. I went through identity complex issues for many years before I was actually diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and PTSD. I can't go into all the details, but it could also be genetic. Doc may have a better answer for you. Oh yeah, that's right. I think I missed a question back here about, where's Allison's question about borderline personality disorder? So, here it is. Okay, sorry, Allison, I missed that. Okay, so real quick, there are certain constellations of symptoms with a borderline personality disorder. One of the main ones is really unstable interpersonal relationships, kind of this push-pull, this love-hate kind of thing. There are also some cutting incidents with people with borderline. Borderline is a very complex issue because a lot of different, you have a lot of different symptoms from a lot of different mental illnesses. So one of the things about working with borderline people is they attach very quickly to everything around them, meaning that they're into this and then they're into that, and they're into this, and they have very unstable relationships. And again, guys, I'm not talking about absolutes, but in most cases, a lot of borderline issues stem from trauma from your past. So what I would recommend for you, Allison, I don't know if it's you that you're wondering if you're borderline personality. I don't know if you feel that you have symptoms of borderline personality disorder, but I would recommend for you that you look into what your symptom cluster is and whether or not you actually fit into that. Because there's so many different substrains of borderline personality disorder that most people, I'm getting some questions texted to me. You got to look into how much am I fitting into that. One of the main things, like I said before, is unstable relationships. And remember, I talked about going from here to there. Impulsivity is a huge part of borderline personality disorder, where people are very impulsive, meaning they go from this to that and this to that. And I'm not talking about just what a lot of people go for borderline personality, but there's a lot of just this feeling that, oh, now I'm into this, now I'm not into this, now I'm into this. So, but when I talk about narcissism, to qualify for a full-blown narcissist, you can have narcissistic personality traits, but lack of empathy is what holds the narcissist label together. So for borderline personality disorder, unstable relationships, impulsivity, and there's also a degree of what's called dissociation, meaning you just feel like you're out of yourself, you're out of your body, you're not very connected to things around you. Okay, so I hope that gives you a rough idea of what borderline is, but I would do my own research on it, and if you feel that you qualify for that, find someone like me in the field. And remember, when I say like me, I don't mean me. I'm not saying call me up and, this is an infomercial. Well, it is an infomercial in the sense for working on your issues, but it's not an infomercial for Dr. Stephen Walker. Trust me, I'm very blessed. I've got tons of people that I work with. I'm very grateful for that. But all I'm pushing is this idea that we need to talk about mental illness. So if you feel you have borderline personality disorder, Allison, look into it and find someone to work on it with, okay? So let me just scroll down. Some mania, if you're talking about borderline, not really. Mania is more bipolar 1 and 2, but thanks, Rose. But some degree, yeah. Let's go back up here. Man, you guys are really making my night, all these questions. Thank you. So let me just scroll through here. So again, TB is back. She knows, or he knows, why I'm not going to say their name, because I just don't like the connotation of that. But any tips on overcoming learned helpless? Great question. And taking personal responsibility. Beautiful question. Learned helplessness. Awesome. See how much time I have here. Okay, so learned helplessness, real quick. They did studies back in the past where they did studies with animals where they put, in one in particular, where they put a dog on a mat in an electrified cage. And they weren't going to kill the dog, but they wanted to just shock the dog back onto the mat. So what happened was the researchers would go to different parts of the cage and coax the dog off the mat. And every time the dog got off the mat, it would get a little shock and it would jump back on the mat where it knew it was safe. So after, I think it was 4 or 5 or 6 different shocks, the dog just laid down and had this helpless look. And they turned that, or termed that learned helplessness. So what happens is with learned helplessness is we begin to perceive, great question, TB, we perceive the environment as all painful. So we stay stuck. We don't, like she said, or he said, and I think you said you were a man. I think I remember from Monday night, but I'm not sure. But yes, learned helplessness is the idea that you perceive pain in all directions, so you stay helpless. So guys, please share this. Remember, I need your help to get people talking about their mental illness. There is nothing wrong with having a degree of mental illness. Too much learned helplessness is absolutely okay. Thank you. You're a man. Cool. Sorry, bro. Learned helplessness. One of the tips. Now think about this. Here's a tip for you, TB. Imagine if that was a human being in that experiment, meaning it wasn't a dog on the mat. It was a human being on the mat. So how long do you think it would take that human being to be like, screw you, I won't hold up the middle finger, but I'm not getting off this mat because I know you motherfuckers or whatever are going to shock me. So you would probably sit there and be like, bring it on. That's the attitude that you have to start getting with the perception of pain in all directions. You've got to start questioning in your mind, wait a minute, how do I know that there's pain in all directions? That's false belief number 1. I don't know that there's pain in all directions. Number 2, I don't know that I won't be able to deal with that pain. People tell themselves all the time, oh God, if I lose my hair, that's going to be the worst. I can't handle that. No one's going to love me. And guess who used to say that in his early 20s? Until I worked on it and realized, so dude, you're telling me you're going to hate yourself because of protein strands growing out of your scalp? That's the degree. And I began questioning that. TB, you got to question, why do I perceive pain in all directions? Why do I convince myself I can't handle the pain? And absolutely, taking personal responsibility is a key to all of this. You've got to take personal responsibility for your issues, meaning that you have an issue with learned helplessness or whatever it is, or whatever insecurity it is. You got to work on it from that inside out, sitting with it. Like, why am I so afraid? Did I have abandonment issues growing up where I didn't get the love or the attention I needed? So that has caused me to feel that I'm going to fall apart in the face of pain. So, TB, let me ask you a question, man. What's with your learned helplessness? What do you, if it's you're talking about, what is going on with that? Like what degree of learned helplessness or not taking responsibility do you struggle with? Okay. So I'll check back to see if you answered that question, and then we'll move on and see, let's see if we got anything else here. Okay. Erased. I don't know if you're still on, talked about, before, I get better, but then all of a sudden it comes back. And I don't know if you're a man or a woman, but whatever it is, my brother or sister, you got to start working on it. Because if it keeps coming back, there's a reason it keeps coming back. It's because it's unhealed. And I would recommend to you, when it comes back, I get dragged into the hole. When it comes back, you got to make it okay that it's back, and you got to work on it. Because if you're hating that it's back, brother or sister, you are, and I'm sorry, it's part of the work. I just feel very connected to people. So that's just drives my wife crazy when we go out. I'm always talking to people. But anyway, pre-COVID, of course. But you've got to work on whatever it is. Whatever it is that keeps coming back is your body, your mind, whatever is going on within you trying to heal. And there's a reason it is back. So again, please share this. If you're watching this, please. So erased, you're not going to erase it. You're not going to get it out of you by ignoring it. Denying, like they say, denial ain't just a river in Egypt. Okay. Denial is one of the main symptoms of trauma. Okay. People who have been trauma, they deny it. They don't want to deal with it. So I'm guessing, erased, if you're still on, whatever it is, it keeps coming back because it wants to be healed. And guys, remember, none of mental health is about being all positive all the time. Anybody out there selling you, oh, download my podcast or come to my I can't think of what the heck that is when you stand and someone's standing in front of you and they're talking. What is that called? I can't pull that up. Anyway, you're listening to somebody, anybody who is telling you that you will always be happy or always feel good, run to the hills, people. I don't know if any of you know what snake oil is. Seminar, Rose, you're always there for me. Thank you. Thank you. Seminar. See, I couldn't pull it up, and I don't care if I look like an idiot because workshop. Thank you, Allison. Because I'm not, perfection is long gone of a goal of mine. So anybody who's telling you you can be happy all the time and you can be this or that, run. Snake oil. Remember when people back in the 1800s were going around, oh, this snake oil is going to cure. Erased. That's what it is. It's about ebb and flow. Ebb and flow. Yin, yang. Positive, negative, and neutral. It's learning how to manage the waves. Please don't think I am this Buddha. Nothing bothers me. I am perfectly put together. Let's get my wife down here. Honey, if you're watching this upstairs, come down, tell them. But the key is I accept it and work on it, okay? And that's the key, accepting and working on it, okay? So TB is saying, I know for a fact that it's from parental stuff. Exactly. I became used to having anything I enjoyed taken away. I became used to having anything I enjoyed taken away. There you go, my brother. There you go. That's the root of it right there. One of the roots of it. And you got to work through that because what that taught you was an intermittent reward cycle. What's an intermittent reward cycle? Let me check time here real quick. Intermittent reward cycle. If I'm going to condition a mouse to press a lever over and over and over, even when it doesn't get a reward, how do I do that? Some people might say, well, just give them the reward all the time and then take it away. No, the minute you take it away, they have what's called an extinction burst, meaning they press the lever and then it fades away. That's called extinction. Staggered reward is the way you train over a mouse or rat to do that. Okay? Staggered reward, meaning you give it the reward 2 or 3 times, then you stop for a time or two, then you do it again for 4 or 5, then you stop for 5 or 6, and then you stretch it out, and guess what that mouse will keep doing? So TB, yes, exactly. You learned that things will be taken away, and when they're taken away, it crushes me and I can't deal with it and it affects me, and then you expect things to be taken away. And this is one of the things about learned helplessness. This idea that if I lose something, I can't handle it. Why? Because when I lost it as a kid or it was taken away, nobody was there to help me with it. I'm guessing nobody came into TB's room and said, "Hey man, are you okay? Are you disappointed that this happened? Or let me, daddy or mommy wants to talk to you about ways to handle disappointment." I'm guessing nobody did that. So guess what you learned? When stuff's taken away, I can't deal with that. Again, guys, if you're just logging on, our topic tonight is how to manage negative thinking. This is a live broadcast. I hate podcast, not hate, but podcast. This ain't a podcast. This is a webcast, a live webcast where we take questions. Ask a question. Everyone has negative thinking, okay? So let's get to a couple more before we log off here. Again, guys, thank you. As long as people are catching these shows, I'm going to keep doing them. So thank you. Okay, Aaron is saying, yes, it's co-occurring. Great. Let me just see if I missed anybody. I don't want to miss people who... I hope that helped, TB. Let me know. Feel free to shoot me some emails or questions. Let's see here. Yes, Rose, good advice. Please love yourself first. But remember, loving yourself is the end product of a lot of work. Self-awareness, self-acceptance, self-liking, and then you move into self-love. But absolutely. Okay, Rasmus from YouTube. Thanks, man. Do you think it's possible to stop negative thinking in the midst of a terrible situation? By stop, do you mean permanently stop? No. Especially if you're in the midst of a terrible situation. Absolutely not. Can you manage the degree of how that negative thinking is affecting the terrible situation? Absolutely. Okay, great. We're getting another question from, okay, this is from Twitter. I constantly overthink what my ex is doing. Okay, sounds like some pain there. We'll get to that. But no, you can't stop negative thinking. What you can do is you can stop it for a little while and manage it, but it's going to ebb and flow back and forth, meaning that the fundamental wave-like nature of experience. I don't know if you guys have ever looked into quantum theory and all of this, but there's this idea that the existence on a quantum level is non-localized, meaning that things exist as a wave. And if you've ever want some very interesting reading, take a look at how consciousness is being found to affect subatomic quantum particles. They exist in what's called a wavicle, meaning they exist as a wave until they're observed and then they become a particle. But so the reason I'm bringing that in, Rasmus, is that negative thinking, positive thinking, neutral thinking, it exists as waves. So you may be able to stop it momentarily to get your bearings in a terrible situation, but it may come back in. You got to keep managing it. And the key to that is identifying, oh, wow, I learned to think negatively in terrible situations. So Rasmus, I don't know if you're still on. Okay, cool. You're still on. I don't believe it's possible to permanently stop negative thinking. Exactly. Until the human mind is alive, or while the human mind is alive, it's going to be that negative bias. Yes. Right. And I don't know if you're a man or a woman, I'll go with man, but yes, you need to, I don't know why I said man, but you know what I mean. But Rasmus, remember, the negative bias is conditioning too. I don't know you, Rasmus, but I would ask, what I'm going to default to is, where did Rasmus learn that the negative bias is the whole picture? I don't know if Rasmus thinks that, hey, I'm not being negative, I'm just being realistic. Why is negativity the only form of realism? You got to get into that conditioning a little bit, okay? Because what I'm hearing is that you believe that negativity is kind of like, I don't want to say stronger, but predominates other forms of energy. And it doesn't, dude. It doesn't. It does not. Negativity, positivity, and neutrality coexist in an atom. You take one out, the atom falls apart. So what I'm trying to get you to think about is that you have got to accept that your negative bias is conditioning. And I don't know where you learned it. Maybe you learned it from mom or dad growing up. But I would say to you, you're right. You're not going to permanently stop negativity, just like you're not going to permanently stop positivity, like you're not going to stop neutrality. It's all three coexisting, okay? So let's see here. Looks like we got to everybody. Perfect timing. Allison is saying, I have two dramatic sisters. Yeah, I remember we talked about this. Oh, it's your sister that you think might have borderline. I feel you. Great. I love the way you guys start supporting each other, because this is exactly what I'm trying to do. I'm really trying to grow a community of people who just say to themselves, look, we all have issues. I have issues. Everyone has issues, and let's work on them. Because if we don't, I'm not trying to be negative, but I'll get to you in a minute, Richard. But the degree of polarization that I see happening, especially in this country, is frightening, because there are these people online, these white supremacists, these other people who are hating white people, whatever, who are so polarized. This idea that we have to hate our enemy and destroy, and I own that libtard, and I crush that Trumper or whatever. Thank you, Janie. Have a good night. Thank you for logging on. Okay. And remember, work on the relationship with Janie. Okay. That's what's concerning to me, that we are polarizing, and think about it on a mental health level. How is polarization mentally and emotionally helpful? I mean, bipolar is not a healthy mental state for people to be in. So Richard is asking, and how does frequency disrupt our harmonic balance? Well, that's a great question, Richard. I don't know what frequency you're talking about. I'm talking about music. I don't know if you're talking about sound. I don't know if you're talking about, vibrations. I don't know what you're talking, love, but absolutely different types of energy can affect our harmonic balance. And I'm not a believer that psychology is the answer to everything. Okay. Psychology is one of the filters in our mind, but there are multiple different ways to heal. Okay, you're welcome, TB. I hope that helped. Please pass this on. I'm glad you logged on again tonight. If there's something next on Friday night that you can bring up that you want to work on, keep it coming. And please keep working on your issues, whatever they are. So Rasmus is saying, well, I used to live in a country where my rights were totally neglected, and thanks to this Corona crisis, I might be forced to go back. And that brings a lot of feelings of hopelessness and helplessness. Yes, Rasmus, I hear you. Because a country and citizenship isn't like a human relationship that can be easily ended. And it doesn't need to end, bro. It doesn't need to end, okay? I feel you about, there's this mask, and should we wear masks and all this? Look, we don't know what this coronavirus is. We don't know. They don't know a lot of this. They don't know if just because you don't have symptoms, it doesn't affect you long term. Science is showing that if people are wearing a covering and they're not breathing on each other, that seems to lower the rates. I don't know. I'm not here to push an agenda. I just care about people. I wear a mask to protect other people. It may be me deluding myself. It may not be, but it's my way of saying, I don't want to make you sick. I don't want you to make me sick. Anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. Okay. So, Paul is new here. Paul is saying the most difficult thing is to understand that there is a balance in life. Bingo, brother. Bingo. And you know why it's hard, Paul, for people to understand that? Because we want to deny the negative feelings. Remember what our talk was about tonight, how to manage negative thinking. How the hell are you going to be balanced if you try to eliminate negativity? Okay? It's impossible. It's impossible. Think about it in just a basic analogy. If you're on a seesaw and I'm the negative and you're the positive, and you figure out a way to eliminate me off the seesaw, which way do you go off? Which way do you go if I'm off the seesaw? Some people might think, oh, you go up. You go down. Okay? So we have to accept the negativity in order to be balanced. But the problem is we don't live in that culture. Eliminate the negative. Eliminate the libtards. Eliminate the Trumpers. Remember back in the 60s and 40s and 50s, and a lot of black people would say it hasn't really changed that much. Eliminate black people. Eliminate the immigrants. Any talk of elimination is contrary to the natural flow of things. Who do we admire that professed elimination? Hitler? Some people might be neo-Nazis. Okay, that's somebody you want to admire? Anyway, I got to run. I'll be back on again Friday night. Please share this on your timeline. Please encourage people that there's nothing wrong with working on your mental health. We all have a degree of mental illness, people, myself included. We all have a degree of physical illness. If we're not working on our physical illness, it's going to get worse. If we're not working on our degree of mental illness, it's going to get worse. Okay? So I will be on again Friday night at 9 p.m. Mountain. Please, if you like this, please like the Facebook page. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel so that YouTube can start knocking our these broadcasts higher and higher. You want to visit my website? This is it. Please share this with other people. Okay? So thank you for logging on. See you guys Friday night. Please tell people about this. Have your questions ready. Anybody that wants to follow up on what we did tonight, please follow up. Let us know how things are going. Okay? Take it easy. Have a good night. See you then.